customer journey looks like. This is meant to be you thinking about any of those problems that we just talked about. And this is sort of what I'm going to describe for you is sort of the process that people use and think about when they're thinking about buying something that's more expensive. Like, have you had a pretty big expense in the last year? Maybe you bought a car, maybe you bought it, or you're into
an... I'm doing my logo on my website right now. It's a pretty big expense.
Yeah, right? So before you did, tell me about how you came to make that decision and who you chose. What was that like for you?
Yeah, like as a consumer, right?
Yeah.
I kind of struggled on my own, right, to build it. So
okay.
I created my own. I'm a little savvy, so I was able to figure out like to build your own websites. It worked. It functioned well from like a blogging aspect.
Yeah.
But it looked like a blog, and it really looks like I'm a fashion blogger. So it's not the message or the ideal clientele that I'd like to be attracting.
Yeah.
So really, I decided that I need to seek professional branding and marketing help to figure out how to target that client. Because they look at your website and they just make a snap decision.
Right.
So that's how I decided I need to get this ball rolling.
So you realized you had a need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I located, through different search engines, like I used Yelp, and then I just did a quick search of places, people in my surrounding areas. I met with a couple of people. I kind of like interviewed, we spoke, we had consultations, and just kind of, I felt like I needed to be connected with them, like aesthetically, like their website, as well as the vision that they had. And there were a few people that I felt like were a little old school or didn't share my vision. So I finally landed with a company in Irvine.
Yeah.
More costly than maybe a couple others, and probably more than I should spend right now at this stage.
Right.
But I really am inspired by like the vision that they have, and that they are on board with mine.
Oh, good.
We're really like creatively jiving.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah. So it took a minute.
It took a minute.
Yeah.
And a lot of thought.
It took probably 4 months for me to find the right person to figure it out.
So believe it or not, that's exactly the way most people go through this idea of this customer journey that I was telling you about. So the step one is you are aware that you had a need. Okay. Step two is you went out and you did some research. I could maybe do it on my own, or I could find some people. You went to the internet, you found a couple of sources. So you did that, and as you did that, you began to compare one versus the other and decide who can I think about working with and who's obviously not for me. And that after that comparison, you made a choice. You made your selection. And then you made your purchase. In fact, you're probably still making your purchase in terms of the financing of it. But you made your selection and a purchase. Now you've had an experience, right? And are you enjoying what they're doing for you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Great.
Yeah.
So since you have, then the next piece would be if you had more money and you had more needs, would you continue to work with them?
Absolutely.
So that would be called retention and loyalty, brand loyalty. And then finally, it's this, would you tell other people about them? And how would you do that?
I could write a review for them.
Mm-hmm.
I could just pass it along, to friends and colleagues and other people in different industries.
Perfect. So already one of the big cornerstones of this whole thing is understanding how consumers think. We're going to come back to this model in a couple of minutes, but what I want to tell you is that this happens in generally this way for all customers that you're going to be doing business with. People who are looking for your services are thinking in the same kinds of ways. And as they're thinking about that, not only do you want to be able to create messages that help them go from here to here to here to here and all the way around to progress them as they think about it, but also there's always a lot of people at any one time in each of these different buckets, each of these different stages. So we want to create content out there through social media and blogging and your web pages and video and whatever that speaks to each of these kinds of people. So it means that you have to have a message that's different and unique to each group. Because the kinds of things that you would tell somebody who's in this awareness stage is totally different than the kinds of things that you would tell somebody who's in the comparison stage. Over here, you're trying to plant a seed that says, your tires are bald. You need to start thinking about what you're going to do. That's appropriate here. Over here, it's thinking about, well, there's Uniroyal and there's Firestone and there's Goodyear, and each of them have their own features and benefits and strengths and weaknesses. So if I'm Goodyear, what am I going to do? I'm going to want to play up my strengths, and I'm going to want to point out the other guy's problems, right? Because that's helping this person make the decision that's good for that brand. Okay.